Um, great game. Really good win for our program, and an outstanding night for the fans, and really cool environment. Um, Great to see our team come back again and show resiliency. I do think we improved in our special teams. I thought got better. I thought they started strong against Nebraska, and I think they improved. I think defensively we improved, and offensively, especially in the second half with the addition of the run game, I think we started to see some momentum there. Receivers still continue to be a positive force for our offense and making plays. And just overall, a really strong start for our program, and a lot of optimism and hope looking forward to the UCLA game, which is another great challenge for us, and really fun to have these kind of opponents week in and week out. And players are excited about it, coaches are excited, and I think the fan base will be as well. Really happy for Kai Nakua and his return and his debut. Just again, I shared this after the game, after the Memphis game, and then the way that he finally came back and reestablished himself on our team. I was really happy for him in that regard. And I think Boise's a good team. They have great schemes, and they're really well coached, and it was a great college football game. So questions, if you have some, I'll be glad to answer.
Can you explain what you did with Travis out, kind of the adjustments you made, formation-wise, personnel-wise, and how you thought it worked?
A lot of it went to Logan Ta'ele, and he's our next, I think, most seasoned and experienced and physical player at the point of attack. And so based on the personnel that Boise had in the game, we used him as much as we could with Grant Rowley. And so really the next two most physical and experienced players we put in at the same time to try to compensate for Travis with their bigger sets against Boise. When there became smaller sets, we chose to put in more linebackers and play with fewer D linemen, again, because Travis isn't there and you can't replace Travis with one. So we used basically 2 D linemen to make up for it, a combination, or we used a couple linebackers instead. And that seemed to match up better against their personnel and also give us the best chance of getting our best players on the field.
Do you get Jordan Prater back? Was he available last week?
He wasn't, and I don't think he won't be available again this week as well. And so with Jordan, the issue has shifted. He's still not healthy, but it's shifted. In addition to his injuries, he has a team discipline issue now also. And so possibly for the Michigan game would be as early as he could return.
I know that before Nebraska, you hoped that Francis Bernard might be a UCLA guy.
Still, I would say possible right now. I haven't heard anything yet today or if that's going to happen or not, but that was the report going into the surgery and coming out of, that it was possible for UCLA, and I don't have that confirmed yet.
You've been trending with top fourth quarter finishes the last 2 games. What do you attribute that to, and what does it mean to the program to be able to do that?
I think the team is really close. I think there's great chemistry, and I think there's good players. But a lot of this I attribute to the off-season training. I think it was really hard. I think Coach Wintrick put them through the ropes, and I think some of that resiliency and conditioning is contributing. That's my theory at this point, plus a little bit more experience from a year ago at a lot of positions. So I think a combination of those things is helping us.
Coach, what's the status with Louis Latuaho?
The status is, so Louis he has had team discipline issued. It's not going to require missing any games. We have a very clear policy in place for personal fouls, and so that's what he's faced up to. He made a mistake. He knows it. I know it. I think the world knows it, and the team certainly, we've addressed it and plan to move forward, and I'm comfortable with what has happened.
Have you heard from the CFOA on that?
I haven't.
Don't you expect something from them?
I really don't, but it'll be interesting to see if that happens. But if their statement is different, then we'll obviously do whatever is required.
You teach your defensive guys to be very aggressive when the ball's on the ground. Where's the balance? Because it looked like Louis had the ball on the ground, and then the guy came and jumped on top of him. Where's the balance as far as jumping in late and things like that?
I don't know if there is balance. And I've never seen it called when a guy's recovering a fumble if someone else jumps on him, that's a penalty. And so yeah, maybe by the letter of the rule it is, but I don't think that was the issue. I think he just reacted and wasn't composed. And on a positive note, from last year, the first 2 games, I think there was 23 penalties. This year it's 9. And so our team is playing a lot cleaner football. And rather than 180-something yards and penalties, it's 80-something. And so I've actually been really pleased with the execution or lack of extra things that have been happening.
Some people are saying this game Saturday is the most important in BYU's independence. Would you address that?
Yeah, it's the next game in BYU's independence.
As far as 2 ranked teams, though, and the Pac-12 thing, is there added importance to you?
I think if we could make it as big or as not as big as possible. I think everyone knows my stance. I mean, I try to coach our team hard every single game, and our players try to play hard every single game. And yeah, it's fun that their teams are ranked, and it's fun that both teams are good. But to make more of it than that, gosh, that would just be a distraction, and there's already enough distraction, so I just plan on coaching my team.
What stands out to you about UCLA, particularly in offense?
Fast, athletic, throw and catch the ball well, really good scheme. Man, they played over 100 and something plays on offense in their last game against UNLV, so they go up tempo, and yeah, they're very explosive.
What about the quarterback?
Really skilled and poised for a young player, and I've been really impressed.
Do you have any relationship with Jim Mora or Mazzoni at all?
I don't, only by reputation, but no, I don't have a personal relationship with either.
Of the 3 games you've played, where do you think UCLA kind of, when you've seen them on film so far?
Man, hard to say. All 3 teams have been so distinct and each really good. I don't know who's the best team. They're all different, and the matchups might have something to do with it. I thought Nebraska was a good team. I think Boise was a good team, and now watching film, I think UCLA is good, but they're all different. So I don't know who's better. The rankings clearly after week 3 say UCLA is. We'll find out. I mean, we certainly respect them, but it's a different team than we've just played the first 2 weeks.
Pretty remarkable to have 2 freshman quarterbacks going head-to-head who have already had some pretty good early season success.
Yeah, and both highly touted and highly recruited and showing that they should have been. And so, yeah, pretty fun for both programs to be thinking about the future with the quarterbacks there.
How does Wadsworth strike you? He's kind of, for a lot of people come from nowhere, but he's a local kid. What is he giving you?
Man, a really unique story. So we didn't recruit him to start with. He signed with Hawaii, went on his mission, coming off a mission like a lot of LDS kids do. Then his mission president reaches out and said, man, would you have an interest? And we have to tell everybody and all that. And we liked him as a special teams player. He didn't play much at Hawaii other than special teams. And so then he comes in our program and has been hurt almost his entire career here. And this is his first time he's been healthy. And we put him in at the end of the Nebraska game looking for some more sure tackling. And that caught my eye. And so he played really well in the 4th quarter. And then in this game he did the same. And so he's a really good example of just patience and diligence. And but really it's the first time he's been truly healthy. And he did nothing in the game against Boise to say that he isn't trustworthy, reliable, and a really good tackler.
You said your run blocking schemes had a lot to do with how you ran the ball after halftime. But did a bit of a switch go on in some way for Adam Hine, and can he build off that moving forward? He looked really good in the second half.
He's going to have to. The offensive front and Adam are going to have to build on that for us to have the kind of season we would like to have. We certainly can't just throw it every down. We have to have the ability to run the football. And I was really, maybe more so than anything else that I saw in the game, the second half, being able to run is more what I'd like to see in it. And it doesn't mean it will be balanced, but at least having that threat is necessary.
Algie Brown's been limited in his carries. Is he 100%?
Algie is, he's 100%. He's just, he's being asked to do a lot of different things. And so, and it's a long season with not a lot of depth at running back. So I think we've managed it actually pretty well based on the outcome. And now the games have come out. It's a unique balance between a marathon and a sprint. And so we're trying to use him enough, but also have him for the entire year.
Kanekua's performance was outstanding, but what did you see from Sione Takitaki coming back from his suspension?
Sione was undisciplined and not assignment sound and played with emotion and aggression, but he has the exact same punishment within the program, in my eyes, as this hit on the quarterback and his hands to the face. And so the world might view that different. As a coach, I view them as the same, and I'm every bit as frustrated with that as I was with the other.
Talk about Bronson Kafusi. He really stepped up, really big drives. We had to have stops where you got tackles from behind, chasing guys down. Is that one of his best performances you've seen?
He's just really consistent. I'm not sure if it was one of his best games. He just is consistent. Really, every game he tries really hard. The best thing about Bronson this year over a year ago is his leadership. He's doing a really, really good job of leading our team, and I think that's had a huge influence on how we played for the first 2 weeks.
Will Riker be a permanent captain, or are you going to change that every?
No, right now the thought is, and that's a good question, where we've kind of evolved to, and I'll meet with Payson this week, and I'm not sure if everyone knew that he had surgery on Friday, if I remember correctly. So he was kind of out of it for the weekend, but I'll meet with Payson this week. But in lieu of that, the special teams player of the week selected by our coaches by production will be the special teams captain each week, and we'll do the same thing offensively, and so that will rotate. Right now, going into this upcoming week, Mitch Juergens will be the offensive captain. Mitch Matthews will be the defensive or the special teams captain. He did a really nice job downing the ball, if you remember, like on the 1 or 2 yard line. It's a great play, almost like Daniel Sorensen used to do. And then we'll kind of sort out with Payson this week as he and I meet how we'll work forward with him.
Pretty remarkable on 3rd and long and 4th and long for your offense to convert like they have. From a defensive coach's standpoint, what is the challenge on that particular play? Why is it kind of a nightmare right now for Duke?
You know, I'm not quite sure, other than it's such an emotional drain. If you have long yardage and another team converts it, the momentum swing is deadly. And for not only a coach but the players out there, and to have long yardage and then have it converted, the chance that you're going to go on to score becomes really, really high. And so the only thing I could say from Boise struggled a little bit throughout the game with what we call plaster, which when the quarterback gets out of the pocket and routes convert, making sure they stay on. And some of our big plays in that game, including that one, were of a similar nature. And so it's just a matter of maintaining concentration for a long period of time when the quarterback gets out of the pocket. And sometimes secondary or any defensive player has a hard time doing that. And then you have to choose how aggressive do you want to be in going after the quarterback, and then how many players do you want to leave. And we've seen both approaches. We've seen it work now versus more pressure, and Tanner got hit right as he threw it, and we've seen it to where he got out of the pocket and had extra time in the first Hail Mary, and so both have worked so far for us. I'm not sure what the next approach will be. Hope it's successful, whatever it is, but I'm not sure what UCLA will choose to do if we end up making it and playing our way into that situation.
After watching film, what's the next step for Tanner?
It's not only just for Tanner, it's just for the entire team to elevate their game and step up around him. And so again, the second half of the game was much more like what I would like to see offensively, where there was more balance. And he certainly can throw the football really well, and he made really good decisions for the most part. It'll be easier for him when we can just balance it a little bit more.
Last question. You've had a lot of attention early in seasons before. Is there anything you can take from that experience of having a lot of attention early on that helps you mold this team moving it forward?
I've tried to share that just with everyone else. The idea, and I'm sure what our players and what I'll hear is this is the biggest game of this era, or the biggest game of independence, or the biggest game of this season. And Nebraska's pretty big, and Boise is pretty big, and UCLA is now pretty big. And my guess is Michigan after that will be pretty big. So we'll just keep playing, and that's all I'm telling my team. And to think about it any more than that is just a distraction, and the more we think about something else besides our assignments, getting ready for our opponent, the more of a mistake it will be. And that's been my message to them.
Thanks, Coach.